Port Angeles is really smoky. We're on the Coho, headed over to Victoria from Port Angeles. So, on the motorcycle. The little motorcycle weekend, it should be fun. So this is Goldstream Park on Vancouver Island, just before you climb the Malahat. And I am just about the only one at the campground. I just didn't feel like dinner. Victoria rush hour traffic is crazy. Too many cars, too little road space. So I'm kind of tired of traffic. So I'm just poring over some maps here for tomorrow. Yeah, everybody's out at dinner, which is fine. I didn't feel like it. Beautiful place. It has a dry, arid aspect to it that's really appealing. And yet it's right on the Strait of Juan de Fuca. It's weird. It must be in a rain shadow, though. So, anyway, just hanging out. There's a little ice cream store down at the head of the road, so that's my goal. That's going to be my dinner, I think. So, smoking some vintage GLP's Bohemian Scandal from Doug Owen at Cargo Hold in Paulsbo, shared with him by the Loud Easy rep who does Savinelli and now Peterson. Apparently Doug is like the biggest seller of Savinelli pipes on the West Coast. Is that possible? So the West Coast rep sent him a little bit of this vintage GLP stuff, and he shared it with me. So I'm not supposed to be smoking because fire danger is super high. It's not as smoky as I thought it would be. Coming across the Strait of Juan de Fuca on the Black Ball, it was pretty damn smoky, but just hazy. You couldn't really smell it. But right now there's no evidence of it. And there's like over 500 fires burning in BC alone. It's crazy. It's one of those hot, dry years. So I don't know if everybody, it made the news, although it may not have made it big time anywhere but around Seattle. But Horizon Airlines is a subsidiary of Alaska Airlines. So they're kind of the more local flights to Spokane and to the Tri-Cities and smaller areas. Horizon tends to do those rather than Alaska. But it's part of the Alaska Air Group. So SeaTac Airport, Seattle's airport, had a $15 an hour minimum wage. The airport authority, if you will, put that into effect before the city of Seattle. I'm going to take these off. Before the city of Seattle did it a 15-hour minimum wage themselves. But Alaska Airlines, well, I misspoke. Certainly Horizon. They may have different contracts with their baggage handlers and so forth. They said, no, we're not going to do the $15 an hour minimum wage. We can't afford to do that because they are a low-cost airline. And so they started everybody out at like $12 an hour. So anyway, that's just a ramble to get up to the one of the baggage handlers stole a Dash 8 Q400, $35 million airplane. It's probably list price. Mark, is that list price? Anyway, he didn't have a pilot's license or anything, but he probably had some time on Flight Simulator, Microsoft Flight Simulator, and some other gaming software. So, and apparently there's some videos on YouTube about how to go through the startup procedure on a Q400. So he did. He was 29 years old. An engaging young man from Wasilla, Alaska, originally. Married to what looked like a delightful young woman. And yet he did this theft and flew around for an hour or so around Seattle, caused, the airport to be shut down and, inconvenienced many people. And then he flew it into the ground, intentionally, apparently. So it's all over YouTube. If you, his nickname was Bebo, Beebo, and you can just search on YouTube Beebo. Beebo Russell was his last name, and then if you're interested, all the ground contact with the air traffic controllers, and there were some pilots who were kind of coaching him on how to bring the thing safely down, and so there's quite a bit of heartfelt interchange in that dialogue between Beebo Russell and the air traffic controllers and the pilots. So of course it was big Seattle news. I'm not sure how much it made it around the world, but it's just kind of been on my mind. He seemed like a great guy. You kind of got to know him a little bit through those interchanges with the air traffic controllers. And the whole idea of it's kind of fascinating in a way. And I don't know, it's just been on my mind. So, yeah, I mean, I'm conflicted. I'm all for law and order, and following the rules when you can, and not taking $35 million airplanes for joyrides and then crashing them in a suicidal way. I mean, that isn't right. But there's something about the guy that has just been on my mind, and something about him kind of resonated with me. And I don't know what that is, but I just wonder if it did for anybody else. There was an article in today's local newspaper that I get over on the west side of Puget Sound, and the commentary was that, yeah, there's something about that he was kind of a corporate tool, being paid basically minimum wage to do a pretty tough job without a lot of hope for advancement. I don't know. People get themselves in situations. So, but I just ended up kind of liking the guy, and I could relate to some aspects of his commentary there. So, Doug, this is a good smoke. this Bohemian scandal. But I will say that the vintage 2009 Balkan Supreme, I think, has a creamier, smoother flavor and more flavor, I'd say. This is good though. Smoking in a Irish Seconds, a Peterson's Seconds. I like the shape. It's an XL90, I think. Doesn't say on this one, but I've got a few of these. I just like the shape. I just kind of like, I don't know, kind of everything about it. Just kind of resonates with me. Is that the Ranger? A broken guy with a few screws loose that he didn't know he had until now. That's Beebo Russell. I mean, it's just a lot of issues, bigger issues. How do we find value in society? How do we find value from work? The work that we do that is the best part of every day, the best part of every week, the major part of every year. It's just a lot of discussion points. So, interesting that a fella that steals an airliner and then crashes it can bring up all these thoughts. It's like, really? But, yeah. Oh well, I'm sure we'll talk about it tonight after everybody gets back from dinner. See what their thoughts are. Hadn't really talked to anybody about it.
Sometimes what the hell was the one that was in there I saw a month ago? Biggest one I ever saw.
Jordan River.
Norwegian Bliss, 168,000 tons. Yeah, it stops in Victoria for about half a day. Yeah, that was 19 decks on it. Yeah. The thing almost looks so top heavy, I think it's going to flip over. It looks so tall. But yeah, 5,000 passengers and 1,700 crews. Yeah, floating city.
So we were at Port Renfrew, stopped at the Coastal Kitchen for a little lunch. So this is the Strait of Juan de Fuca. We're on the south end of Vancouver Island. Smoking some Balkan Supreme in an old custom built. Not that old, one of the newer of the custom builts. Great road to ride on. Wow.
Show you how much I know about
Yeah. Daryl and Ian. Washington State down there. So onward we go. So we're just waiting in line here for the Coho, which is offloading right here. So we'll be first off, which is kind of nice. There it is. We're here in Victoria. Meet the nicest people on motorcycles.